Want to take a moment to thank our patrons, and hopefully you viewers will also thank the patrons. It's because of them that we're able to purchase this firearm. We do our best to get what we can on loan from manufacturers, but that's not always possible. Our patrons slowly provide funding that after a few months we're able to collectively make a decision on what that money is used for. Now, the patron money didn't pay for this entirely. I, of course, am out of pocket a fair chunk of it, but it did make this a much easier thing to do. And thank you, patrons, for selecting this firearm because it's something that I was interested in. Coming up, we've got the tabletop review and field strip of the Tisas 1911 Carry Double Stack. We'll go over what's all in the box, take a look at the manual, fit, finish, and features. We'll do chamber fit and a field strip. Coming up next on GBGuns. Not too long ago, we reviewed the Gearson equivalency of this. That is a working man priced or more affordable double stack 1911. Now, I've already been in this box a bit because I was excited and of course wanted to check on it. Inside, we get two magazines. We have a barrel bushing tool, of course our federally mandated lock, the chamber flag, and up top you get a cleaning rod and cleaning brush. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the manual. Why do I care about the manual? Well, the manual gives us an indication of how well the company wants you to understand the firearm. Generally, people who understand their firearm correctly or completely have a better time with it, and you end up with happier users. More often than not, when I see failures and issues on YouTube videos, it's usually operator error in one sense or another, be it ammunition or handling or whatnot. Speaking of ammunition, I looked through this to see about plus P ammunition, if it's recommended for or against, and all it says in here is to use the correct ammunition for it. I look at that because everyone always asks about plus P ammunition. Now, with a 4 1/4 inch barrel, that's longer than the SAMI spec for 9mm, which is only 4 inches. There's no need for plus P ammo, but people still ask, and so I do my best to find the answer. The other thing I took a look at in here, and you can see everything is nicely labeled, and they use the rendering standard 4-color. It's a pretty good manual that explains most things, but when it comes to 1911s, there's more than one way to field strip it. People always like to argue with me about whichever way I do it. I do what's in the manual. That helps keep me out of YouTube trouble, and I'm able to show them in this video, like this clip here, that field stripping is part of the user experience and required by the user for safety considerations. That way, when YouTube says that I'm trying to build a gun or modify a gun, I can show them, hey, it's in the video right here. So we can see we're going to be taking that bushing out first. That's the way Tisas recommends it. And yes, this gun is optics ready. I am assuming it's for the micro size. We'll take a look at that after the range video. For now, let's get to the gun. Now, Tisas always includes these tags, or at least has in recent years. I appreciate it because it does bring up some good points. You see on here, forged frame and slide. That is one of the important differences between this and the Gearson equivalency. I'm going to need to cut that. Meaning that this portion of the frame is steel. The Gearson used aluminum. Is one better than another? That depends on your application. The steel adds a little bit more weight, and because that includes the dust cover, and that's the unsprung weight in automotive terms, the non-reciprocating mass for firearms terms, that means that's weight that's going to help you counter muzzle rise and recoil. Typically people like it heavier up here. That's why you see a lot of YouTubers throw a big light on even though they're filming in broad daylight. Part of that's tactical, part of that's to push accessories. The other part of it is helps keep the nose down, which makes for a better shooting experience. I don't see a huge weight difference between this and aluminum. It's a couple ounces, but where that weight is, it changes the way the firearm feels. Check for clear. And now, with the slide lock to the rear, let's take a look at magazine ejection or release. Gun is upside down, and it appears we have magazine release. There is, nothing really kicking that out. Speaking of magazines, these are 17-round magazines. You get 2 of them in this. Nice edge over the Gearson. And they appear to be your standard double stack 1911 pattern, meaning you can use the Duramags, for example, that were developed for the Prodigy. Those are very affordable and readily available. There are several other makes out there, but that means magazines shouldn't be an issue, and you're getting 2 right out of the box. Now, another thing that we can notice right away with the slide lock to the rear is this is not a full-length guide rod. That's another thing. The internet is full of arguments for and against. In short, some say from the early World War II and earlier era 1911s that the GI length guide rod could cause binding of the spring or issues like that, and so they want a full length. Another advantage of the full length is that it does add more non-reciprocating mass, so it can help with nose flip a little bit. The downfall to full length guide rods is they make disassembly a little more complicated. So I generally like the GI length like this, but that's something that is a user preference and easily swapped because these are 1911 parts. Alright, with everything apart, we've got ambidextrous safety that has a nice positive click into and out and functions as does the grip safety. But let's get back up to the front of the gun. We've got some classic style front slide serrations up here and the chromed barrel, which stands out nicely. The sight is a white dot front, blacked out rear, rather wide rear, good for defensive use. We can see we have 3 rails of Picatinny underneath on the frame. A little bit of texturing on the front of the trigger guard for those who like the European grip style. And you can see there's been a slight second undercut to the trigger guard here. Lifted up and good and high, as well as no traction through there to make grabbing on and that initial out of the holster a good easy grab. I appreciate that. Our slide release and stop lever, it seems to be slightly extended. I don't know if it's sticking out a little bit or if it's just the contour of the plastic there to make it easy to get to. It's something I appreciate. And our magazine release sticks out good and tall. On the front strap we have some fine checkering. It's grabby but not super aggressive. You can see our texture on the sides here is kind of a laser stippled, kind of a wood grainish. It's not particularly aggressive. We do have a little bit of a built-in magazine well. This is plenty long for my XXL hands to not even need for grabbing on the toe, but you can see we've got nice flaring there to make reloads very easy. A little bit of a rounding on the corner of the mainspring housing and that super fine checkering on the back. The grip safety is nice and proud, and the beaver tail sticks up good and high, so you shouldn't have any issues with hammer bite or with deactivating that safety. Looking at slide to frame fit, we do have some wobble in play side to side, but our barrel lockup is good and tight. That screw's just a tall head. And coming around the right side, you can see again. Overall, it looks pretty good. Since you guys are going to want to know, let's do our trigger talk. Short tick up to a defined wall. And a good clean break. Reset. Short, crisp. Took us a little bit in front of the wall. Try that again. Without bumping the tripod this time. Yep, just a little bit before the wall. So a nice trigger. It actually feels pretty good. It feels a little better than some of the other affordable options out there. Is that play going to be an issue? I really doubt it. Next we'll field strip the gun and take a look inside. Alright, we're going to field strip this as per the manual. First, of course, checking for clear. We're going to want to take the recoil assembly out. That requires pushing on this little button and turning the bushing here. That's what the tool included in the case was for. There's also this tool like I have in my list, but you can do it without. Depress the plunger. Go ahead and bring that spring out. Now we're going to take the slide back to where the cutout lines up over the stop. Push from the other side. Zoom back out here and pull that out, at which point the slide will come off forward there is our GI length guide rod, oh so short. And now we can turn the bushing the other way until it slides out. Make sure our link is forward and the barrel will come out the front. Straight up like that. That's all there is to it. Gives us a chance to take a look at the machining inside. See, pretty clean, a little bit of dust from test firing, wee bit of oil on there. And our construction here, all steel with the polymer for the grip. With the barrel out, we can also check for chamber fitment and chamber support. I'm going to do that using some Liberty Civil Defense. This nickel-plated case reduces friction, also is for corrosion resistance. We drop it in, listen for a plunk. Didn't get one, and it didn't come all the way down. But I can push it in easily, and that's probably just a little bit of dirt and grime from the test firing. If you guys can see in there. Give it another try. Yeah, it's a dirty chamber, but it does fit. When we're looking for chamber support, we're looking to see how much of the case is supported. And we've got just a tiny bit not supported underneath that feed ramp, but probably going to be okay. It's about standard for 1911. Chamber support is important to check if you're going to run reloads or there's any risk of a weak casing. Simply put, where the chamber is not supported is where the case is going to want to rupture when all that pressure happens. The tiny little bit we just saw exposed here is also the strongest part of the case, so we're probably okay. Now that everything all apart, I will reassemble, and as I inverse my disassembly to reassemble this, I'll describe what you'll see in the range video. Quick note here, make sure that link is down to make it easy to get in here. And you'll want to make sure it sticks back out. So in the range video you will see absolute first shots through the gun, cold shots filmed on camera, in case there's any startling impressions there. Then we'll do full magazine +1, see how these magazines run. After we've confirmed that, I'm going to run some other makers' double stack 1911 magazines through the gun, see how compatible they are. Should be fine, but I want to confirm. And once I've done that, we'll go over to What's for Dinner Table to see what the gun will eat. That'll be 10 different loads than what we've already been running. How they print and how they cycle in this gun. When we're through that, we will do our practical accuracy and then give you concluding thoughts on it. Full specs, information, where to find that ammo, all that kind of stuff will be in the pinned comment, hopefully of this video, meaning that I've completed it before this video airs. And we'll see you guys on the range. Thanks for watching Tabletop Review and Field Strip. I'm looking forward to getting this thing out there.